Hi, my name is Pia. I'm the founder of Sassy Media. We write long-form content for e-commerce software companies, anything from blogs to playbooks to case studies. Here are some of the companies that we've worked with in the past. When I talk about content, I'm usually asked two questions. The first one is, how do I use the content that's created? And the second one is, well, how do I make sure that the content generates an ROI? You see, the thing is, content is seen as a brand building or awareness tool. And while content is a great way to position yourself in the market and to build that brand, you can actually use content in a way that generates a return. And today we're going to talk about how. So we're going to go over two strategies on how to turn content into pipeline. And specifically, we're going to focus on playbooks today. Okay, so what is a playbook? Here are some examples of playbooks that we've written in the past. You've definitely come across playbooks on your social media or in your emails, whether you notice them or not. But playbooks basically take larger concepts, a problem that your software solves, and breaks it down into smaller steps that brands can implement almost immediately after reading the playbook. Okay, playbooks fall under one of two categories. You have the partnership playbook and you have what I like to call the in-house playbook. So the partnership playbook, the name says it all. You're partnering with other e-commerce apps, maybe your agency partners, other thought leaders in the space as well. And you're all collaborating on one piece of content and then distributing it to your own audiences. So it's great for that top of funnel lead generation. In-house playbooks, on the other hand, it's completely owned by your software about a specific topic that your software solves. Okay, and both pieces of content are gated. So by gated, I mean they're just behind a form. You could either build your own form on a custom landing page, or you can use a form builder. Mantle has a great one. And it's just a way to collect leads. The goal of playbooks is to generate leads. So you set it up behind a form. Anyone that wants to read the playbook just enters their contact details. You save those details, and then they get access to the piece of content. Okay, so let's go into strategies. So strategy number one, we're going to talk about how you can get the most amount of leads from a partnership playbook. Here is a past partnership playbook that we created with Social Snowball. We generated 1,500 leads from this playbook. About 20% of the qualified leads booked a demo, which led to 180K in pipeline. And more importantly, in my opinion, is that once Social Snowball started creating these partnership pieces, they started getting invites to other co-marketing opportunities where they were able to generate even more leads. Cool, so the partnership playbook can be divided into three separate stages. You have the first stage when you're collaborating with the partners, writing the piece of content. You have the second stage when the campaign is live and all partners are driving traffic to the piece of content. And then you have the third stage once the campaign is over and you just share leads with the partners. So let's talk about stage one and how we can set up stage one for success. So the most important thing here is choosing your partners wisely. So your partners are the ones who are going to be distributing this playbook, so it's very important that they actually have reach. It's also important that they're non-competitive to yourself or to other partners involved in the playbook. And you also want to make sure that it makes sense to have them involved. The goal of this content piece is you want it to be valuable for brands. So you don't want to just slap a logo on the playbook just to get access to their audience. It has to make sense. And now you're probably thinking, so like, what's in it for them? Why would they take time out of their busy schedule to get involved in this playbook? Well, at the end of the campaign, you're going to have compiled a list of leads, which they'll get access to, which is completely valuable for them. But on top of that, partners are expected to contribute to the playbook, whether it's a chapter or to fill out a questionnaire. So brands who are reading this playbook will get exposed to their app as well. Cool. So the first thing that you want to do here is you want to make sure that you have one shared document where all information about the campaign lives. So any due dates, any outlines, any tracking links, distribution assets, basically anything that they need to know about the campaign is on this document. You don't want your partners jumping through hoops. You want everything to be very easy for them to access. And once you have your partners, you also want to create a shared Slack channel. This just makes communication very easy. If they have any questions, they can ask it there. They can communicate with other partners. You can send any updates. You don't want to be managing 15 different email threads. So having them under one roof is very impactful. Okay, so now we want to incentivize the partners to actually drive leads. So the way that you do this is by having lead requirement minimums. So you're basically saying, okay, if you don't drive 30 leads for this playbook, then you won't get access to the lead list. And it basically just makes sure that all partners are pulling their weight and actually driving traffic and collecting leads for this playbook. And you also want to make sure that you're outlining exactly where they can distribute this playbook. So you want to make this process very easy for them to participate in. So telling them exactly where they can actually distribute the playbook is very helpful. You don't want a partner that doesn't know how to distribute it and it's their first time getting involved in a partnership playbook, and then they just don't do anything because they don't know how. So outlining everything is super important. And you can also have required channels. So I always like to do a social post required and a dedicated email, but just make it very clear for them. Cool, and this is actually the most impactful thing that you will take away today. Actually creating the distribution assets makes their work 100 times easier. So you only need 3 pieces of 3 different assets. So a piece of copy, something they can use on their social media, something they can use on their newsletters, for example, an image, a scroll through video. So just a video, you can literally just screen record yourself scrolling through the first 5 pages of the playbook, Command-Shift-5 on your Mac. It's super easy. And basically what you're doing here is your partners no longer have any excuse not to participate and actually distribute the playbook. You're doing all the work for them. So all they have to do is copy and paste the assets that you created on the distribution channels that you outlined and just click post or schedule. Cool, so that's everything for phase 1. And you also want to make sure that any requirements that you do have are communicated before any partner actually commits to joining the playbook. You want to be a good partner here. You don't want to spring any lead requirement minimums after the campaign ended or during the campaign. You want to just be very upfront about everything. Cool, so now we're talking about stage 2. So stage 2 is when the campaign is actually live and partners are driving traffic towards the piece of content. There are a few things you can do here to squeeze out the extra leads. Okay, the first thing that you want to do is actually ask your partners to share the social post on that shared Slack channel that you created earlier. This does a couple of things. So the first thing it does is it creates hype. So partners get excited. They realize, oh, there's a campaign going on. And it allows all the partners to actually engage with the social posts, which is like a cool boost to the algorithm. And you also want to share regular lead updates. So literally just name and shame every single partner and how many leads they've driven up to that point. Do this weekly or bi-weekly. And it just will motivate the partners who haven't driven as many leads to actually go out and drive leads and to be good partners because, you know, they want to keep getting invited to these partnership pieces. Cool. So now this is a cool thing that we did for the social snowball playbook that I mentioned earlier. We basically told partners that whoever drives the most amount of leads will get a free co-sponsored event. And once we announced this, the leads started flying in. Partners got super excited. So if you have like something you can give the partners, a little competition, make it competitive, make it exciting, it does really help. So that's everything for the partnership playbook. Now let's talk about the in-house playbook and how we can maximize the return of one in-house playbook. And we're going to turn one in-house playbook into a month's worth of content, and we're going to use AI to help us do that. Okay, so this is an example of an in-house playbook that we wrote in the past. It's the advanced guide to e-commerce metrics and workflows for Polar Analytics. And we want to take this in-house playbook and we want to turn it into a month's worth of content. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to write 5 blogs. So we're going to repurpose it into 5 blogs. Okay, so here are the 5 blogs that we extracted from this playbook. And getting these topics, it's super easy. All you have to do is upload the playbook itself to ChatGPT or any AI tool and tell it, hey, we want to create 5 separate SEO optimized blogs. Can you please extract 5 significantly different blog topics from this playbook? And it should give you a bunch of topics that you can start outlining and drafting. So now we have 5 blogs. right? So immediately after having 5 blogs, you have 5 newsletters. So all you have to do here is literally copy and paste the blog into your newsletter, and you have 5 newsletters. So here's an example of a blog that I wrote for Triple Whale, which was repurposed into a newsletter. All they did was just copy and paste the blog. They added the normal introductions, the normal CTAs and conclusions, and they just scheduled it. And it's a good way to also expose your audience to the content that you're creating. Cool, so now you also have 5 carousels. So carousels are great posts on LinkedIn, and you can just repurpose every single blog that you create into a carousel. And this is honestly the easiest thing ever. All you have to do is just upload it to ChatGPT and tell it to create a carousel for you. What I like to do is just show an existing carousel, so a good example that you like, and ask ChatGPT to emulate it almost. Say, hey, this is a good example of a carousel. This is a blog that I want to turn into a carousel. Can you please draft the copy? I would need to do that. And it should give you a good first draft, which you can then edit and then design, and then post on LinkedIn. Cool, so now we have 15 different assets from one in-house playbook. So let's add that to our content calendar. Cool, so that is our content calendar. We have like 3 posts a week. And honestly, this strategy works for any type of long-form content. Let's talk about a case study for now. We want to repurpose a case study. Okay, so we have one case study. One case study can immediately be turned into one blog. You can turn a case study into 2 or 3 blogs, depending on the strategies that you're talking about. But let's just say, for simplicity's sake, that one case study equals 1 blog. And we already know that 1 blog equals 1 newsletter. And we also already know that 1 blog equals 1 carousel. So that's 3 different assets just from one long-form content, one piece of long-form content. So let's add that to our content calendar. That's a stacked calendar, right? Cool. Okay, so here's a distribution tracker, which I'll give you access to as well. It'll basically just give you, it helps you keep track of the types of content that you're repurposing and what channels you're repurposing it on. And here's a QR code. So on this QR code, you'll get access to the partner template that I spoke about earlier, that shared Google Doc. You'll also get access to an example carousel, which you can use to create other carousels, just upload it to ChatGPT. And you also get access to the distribution tracker. So yeah, that's basically it. Thank you.